Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. I have the pleasure and the honor to introduce Dr. Betty. We're going to be doing a speaker highlight today. Dr. Betty, how are you doing?
Thank you so much, David. It's great being with you today. I'm
It,
doing
it,
great.
Thank you. It's an honor. And well, let's get started. And I know that our audience is excited to get to know you. And one of the things that I've been asking all of our speakers is to share with us a little bit of their background. And that's an open question, and you could take it professional or personal, however you want to go about it.
Okay. I was born and raised in Bogota, Colombia. At the age of 12, I migrated to the United States with my mother, who was 45 years old. And this story is fairly well known, but I'll encapsulate it for you. Basically, my mother came to the United States with 4 children because my father was an alcoholic and he used to beat her up. And after one night when he almost killed her, she decided she's coming to the United States. And she gave us the choice of coming. In an airplane ride, we became poor. And I became the mother of my little 6-year-old, and I was 12 years old. I became the housekeeper and helping my mom. And I cooked and I did everything for my brothers because in a typical Colombian family, the young lady is the one that takes care of everything. So I did. And I remember thinking to myself, someday I'm going to retire my mother. She sacrificed everything. She sacrificed riches. My dad was very successful as a businessman. And yet she didn't stay. She wanted peace for us, and she wanted a better future than being raised with a lot of money. And we wouldn't have been able to appreciate life and appreciate hard work and some of the principles and the virtues and values that we grow up with in Latin America anyway.
Yeah.
So my Aunt Ruby taught me etiquette. She said, someday you're going to dine with the President of the United States. And little did she know that 14 years later, I was dining with President Bush Sr. So you have to be careful what you say to children because they will follow and they will believe. My mother always said, my daughter is super intelligent. She can do anything she wants. And I believed her. I believed her that I was smart enough to accomplish whatever I wanted to. And so I've, all of my life, I have seen obstacles as opportunities for growth. And I was able to retire my mother with my first bonus check as a banker. And I called my mom, and she was in a factory, working at a factory. And I told her, today's your last day. You're never going to work again in your life. And pack your bags because I'm taking you to Mexico. And so that Sunday we got on an airplane, first class all the way. I spent my entire bonus on my mom, and I retired her. And education was really important to me. So I have a doctorate, 2 masters, and a bachelor's. And I've always wanted the education, not just to have a title, but to differentiate and to have a seat at the table and to feel like I've earned the seat at the table because of what I've put in my head. Someone told me a long time ago, whatever you put in your head, nobody can take away from you. And they can take riches, they can take whatever you have, they can take it. But if you put it in your mind, nobody can take it away from you. So I've always focused on education. I read about 4 or 5 books at the same time. I'm continuously educating myself so that I can become the best, so that I can give my people and the people around me my very best. And so that's pretty much my background on a personal level. I have 3 children. And I live in Southern California with my husband. And I left banking in October 1st of last year. My book, #Values, was published, and it was endorsed by the Vatican. And the foreword was written by the Pentagon. And I wrote about values. It was my dissertation study, my doctoral study. And because of all of these things, I mean, Stephen Covey endorsed it also. I mean, a lot of different people saw the value in the book. And then I started speaking all over the world and making an impact. And so I left financial services. I've been a C-level executive doing turnarounds for multi-billion-dollar organizations. And I left to make a difference in the world across the globe. So until COVID happened, and then COVID happened and my wings were clipped, and I'm now forming some organizations that are making a difference across the country. And I've been really supporting a lot of entrepreneurs, small business, in building their business. And that's pretty much, that takes us into now with COVID.
Yeah, no, that is an amazing story. I love it. And you know, as you're moving towards the end of your story, you were talking about some of the accomplishments. Now, these stories are meant to inspire us and inspire Latino leaders. You have also received the distinction of Ambassador of Peace by, you know, some world organizations. And like I said, it's not, you know, to flatter, but it's to inspire. Could you tell, can one person make a difference? You know, like,
Yes, yes, yes. I always say we can't make a difference in the entire world, maybe, but we can make a difference in our world. And so what I always talk to people about is you never know what you do, how many people it's going to touch. I was in the Netherlands earlier this year, and I was asked, I noticed that there's a peace conference, a world peace conference that's being put together by the World Peace Palace in The Hague. And some of the people that I was communicating with, I was there to present at another conference in Luxembourg where the king wanted pretty much put together a whole group of people to do this. And I said, tell me about your, it was something so simple. And this is the thing that I think we need to get to people. It's something so simple that if you say, can I help? That's all you need to say is, can I help? I said, can I see the agenda for the World Peace Conference and who are you thinking about? Well, we're kind of struggling with the agenda. I said, well, let me help you because I'm really good at this. Can I help?
yeah.
And so we sat at night at the table with Nienke, who it was putting this together. And I said, okay, who do you have and what's your vision? How do you want to do this? And all of a sudden I said, well, why don't we just do a trifecta? Let's bring world leaders like prime ministers and presidents and governors, and then somebody who will fill in for the project. And then let's bring the next generation so that we can have the next generation. So we have the world leaders, business leaders, and the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, in a matter of a few hours on her dining room table, we built the agenda for the World Peace Summit at the Hague Palace in The Hague with the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So go figure. I didn't think anything of it because I was always taught that everybody is just like you and me. Like there's no difference between somebody that has a lot of money and somebody that doesn't, because we all wake up, we brush our teeth, we put our pants on one leg at a time, or maybe we sit down on the bed and we put both legs, but we put them on and we go to the restroom. I mean, everything, it's just the amount of debt that people have that is the difference, right? And how complicated some people's lives are and how simple and happy other people's lives are. And so I don't see that difference, and I don't see the background. I just see, okay, can I help? Where can I help? And that was ingrained in me from when I was really little. So to your question, can someone make a difference? Can one person make a difference in the world? The answer is absolutely, unequivocally, absolutely yes. All we have to do is just make the decision and ask, can I help? who's going to say no to, can I help?
True. Very true.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. No, I love that. And the reason for my question is, a lot of people feel like, well, I'm starting from this point, and going for anything big seems so monumental and overwhelming sometimes. But because you have done something that amazing, and you're sharing your humble beginnings, um, that's something that I feel like a lot of people need to hear.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's so funny because I speak to young people, I speak to parents, I speak to the elderly in different countries, and people always say, I will never forget one time I was getting ready to speak to a large audience of millennials about managing their money and how I saved uh, a lot of money cash in my bank account. Before I was 30 years old, I had $1 million in my bank account. And I wanted to teach them and to pretty much unpack it and tell people, this is how I did it. This is how I saved. This is how I invested. Let me tell you what I have. Let me tell you how I've done, because most people don't do that. Most people are covering, especially in the Latino community, we tend to do that. And I remember right before I stood up, and they were about to introduce me, and the person who was going to introduce me said, I have a really quick question for you. She said it in my ear. What has been your biggest impediment in your career? Immediately and instinctively, I went like this. My mind. When I let my mind have those little conversations that we all have, I have them too. I'm not good enough. Am I good enough? Do I look tall enough? Wide enough? Whatever enough? When we let those conversations get the best of us, and when we focus on us, that's when we're in trouble. If we focus on, oh my gosh, I can help over here and I can make a difference for this people and this people, then all of a sudden we're not part of the equation.
Right.
All we're doing is really focusing on helping somebody else. So it's been your own mind, and it's been in my life, the times, few times, I can't say that it's been always, but the few times where I've had to go back and say, you know what? I didn't feel like I should have done that. Why in the world did I do that? I'm going to go do it. And I go back and do it, and I did it. So it's always between my ears, and it's always in my own head. It's my own uh, uh, inhibitions
Mm-hmm.
and my own conversation about I'm not good enough. Well, guess what? They have done studies, and I learned this in my first weekend of my doctoral program. Studies show that the most successful people are the most insecure people. Go figure.
Yeah.
So, so we're not alone.
No, that's very true.
Yeah.
And I'm a continuous learner, and I feel that connection with what you were sharing, that you read several books, at a time. And
Yeah.
one of the books that I'm reading right now is Warren Buffett. And
Oh,
and he, it's the same thing, he had these insecurities, and he works through them.
yes,
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And he's not the only one. So when we look at people that are very successful and we see them standing up and be so successful, understand that inside of their mind, they're saying, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? And a lot of the reason why people are so successful is because they have to prove to themselves that they are good enough. And that's the way they prove to themselves. I have that. I have to continuously prove to myself, am I good enough? Am I good enough? And the way that I've chosen to do it is by helping other people.
That's amazing. Oh, thank you so much. I do have one last question. I hope that's
Okay,
okay.
of course.
So one of the things that I've been asking all of our members and speakers is, what's next? What new projects and what new plans can you share with us? That you're working on right now.
Okay, so I have some plans that I can share and some plans that I can't.
Okay.
So I'll share what I can.
Okay.
I'm working on creating an ecosystem for business owners and minority business owners for the most part, but really everybody's welcome. And the idea is to create an ecosystem where people can actually grow their business by bringing in the genius from different talents of people, by working with nonprofit organizations and working with individuals that can actually support different things. Everybody has a genius. Not everybody has a strength in every other person's area. One of the things that I do really well is I convene different talents and I help people get the best out of themselves by collaborating and by realizing that we can do this together. We're stronger together. And a lot of my posts, you'll see, we don't do this alone. I live by that. And so I'm creating this ecosystem where people will be able to get to one place only. And then by going to that one place, they'll be able to create. And if you think of the word teams, TEAMS, tools, education, access to capital, mentoring, and social responsibility. If you think of everything that a business needs, everything that an ecosystem can be made of to really help flourish all of these, that's what we're creating. We have a radio show, we're getting a television show, we're bringing speakers to be able to edify them and bring their voices up. We're bringing access to capital, different venues of different people that are doing it with core values, with higher core values. Everything we're doing is with higher core values. And that's one of the projects that I can talk about. For kids, we're bringing education, the opportunity for them to get the very best scholarships, something I didn't know because I didn't know the language and I didn't know the system. So we're bringing the opportunity to coach people and to get kids the very best scholarships to the very best schools, regardless of their background, regardless of their economic background or demographic background. So for families, for kids, for entrepreneurs, and for our community.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for allowing us to get a little bit of your story and your background. And I'm pretty sure that not only does it inspire us to be better ourselves, but to give back to our community. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, David. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you.